Welcome back, Halo followers. This is your host, Ron, and today we got some Halo news and some Halo Club comments from you guys. So we got a lot of theories, a lot of things to talk about, but first, I want to talk about this clip right here, because this is super big. Halo reaches PC port, and Xbox's One port is including projectiles to go through now teleporters, which honestly just opens up a lot of possibilities with custom games, and there's even one clip on Reddit with this guy firing a race shot and just flies everywhere. And I mean, this is just so many minigame possibilities there. And also, Termatius Tricocity, I am so sorry, I think I butchered your name. He managed to finish the last mission on Halo 3 with him and his friends on foot, and you can watch the full video link down in the description. This is so absolutely insane. Certainly one of the coolest jump tricks I have ever seen in Halo, perhaps one of the best ever. So, a lot of us have been wondering, scratching our heads, when is Halo Reach PC going to release? Well, as I have said before, I honestly am thinking that it's going to be releasing in November, or maybe even mid-December. It was way back in March when they announced the whole collection was coming into, onto PC, and also Reach is coming to Xbox One. And a lot of us are really just salivating at the mouth, waiting for it to come. I'm just really excited to see all the campaign mods with Friends and Forge and all that. I honestly think Halo is back. Honestly, guys, Halo is not dead, all right? It is fully alive. It is really ramping back up. And it's something that I've seen people not really acknowledge, but my numbers, I know, and also other YouTubers' numbers, and the community has just been more active on Twitter and on Reddit. And honestly, I think Halo is kind of back, all right? I honestly think it's almost as strong, if not stronger, than the Halo 3 days at this point. And also, when are we going to see more Halo Infinite news? Great question, right? Well, I honestly, from like the 8 years I've been doing this, I think March would probably be the date when we start seeing some real news. Now, we saw the other day that they have been releasing a lot of sound clips that I haven't noticed until, last week. And one of the clips is just so delicious. It has like a dog barking and doing a bunch of like eating sounds. And honestly, I thought it sounded like the Flood. A lot of people, after posting the video, are saying that it actually sounds like a grunt. Or it could be also wildlife, which, of course, wildlife seems to be a big thing in Halo Infinite, since we've seen deer and rhinos and all that good stuff. And we even saw some new Sentinels from the Halo Outpost event. Maybe we might see a ton of new enemies and neutral enemies, or neutral, life, like animals, right? And packs of animals. I'm just really excited to see how the ecosystem plays out and how alive this ring is actually. And on top of that, since we're talking about the Flood and wildlife, I wonder that maybe the wildlife that we saw in that trailer is actually a subtle sign, or maybe a foreshadowing that those animals will become victim to the Flood, because the Flood does not discriminate. Any life is up for grabs. And certainly if the Flood does break out on this ring, which, by the way, why wouldn't? Because there's tons of Flood stored here. There's even grave mines that have been in storage for a long time. And also there was already a Flood breakout on this ring years ago. However, that may have been removed from the lore, and it may have been a mistake in the lore, since now they're like deciding that this is where Halo Infinite is going to take place. So there is already, though, confirmed that there is Flood on this ring. And as I talked about, a couple weeks ago, the ring has been broken. Those parts of the ring have been exposed. And certainly the Flood is going to find a way to... I don't even think the Flood needs air, by the way. I'm pretty sure the Flood is just fine being in space. So maybe the Flood will find its way on top of the surface of the ring, since the inner parts where supposedly the Flood has been stored for quite some time, 100,000 years, is now going to escape onto the ring and start infecting the deer and the rhinos and the blind wolves. And also that theory about us being able to go all around the ring, I wonder if that is still a valid theory, because the game is called Halo Infinite, and a lot of us have been wondering, why is it called Infinite? Does it have something to do with infinity, the infinity, right? Or does it have something to do with the fact that the story is going to be repeating itself? So we might have to blow up this ring by destroying the infinity at the very end of the game, like we did with the Pillar of Autumn. Okay, well, we've talked about a lot of different things here. Let's jump into a comment by Spencer Howell, which kind of talks about this a little bit more. He says, I have a theory on Infinite. He says, so 343 keeps hinting at what seems to be an open world type game, but they have went out of their way to avoid using the word open world. So based based on all the videos I've seen and rumors I've heard about Infinite, I think it's going to be something like this. I think the name Halo Infinite is foreshadowing that the UNSC Infinity is going to serve as a type of hub world and is going to be a more play the game in order or the style that you want type of game. So where you use the Infinity to go where you want next, which by the way makes a lot of sense. That's been a theory even before Halo 5 released, that the Infinity would be some sort of like hub, and we saw 343 experimenting with the walking around and talking to people and kind of having that RPG kind of open world type game where things are kind of done out of order. We're not really playing through the canon per se, we're doing things out of order, kind of like Destiny where there's a lore based already there and things happen, but we're kind of playing it in our own style in our own way, which honestly is already the case because, well, you know, Master Chief does different things throughout the campaign. Although to see it much more loose, I'm really curious to see how that, you know, plays out. We have another comment here. Darcy something says, wouldn't it be symbolic if Master Chief visited Reach in Halo Infinite and found or saw Noble Six's helmet? So I would absolutely love to visit Reach. You know, in Halo 5, we visited, like, Meridian, which I guess was kind of cool, but honestly, I'd much rather have we visited Reach, because I'm pretty sure Reach is going to look pretty similar to Meridian, you know, being a glassed planet, being a small community, a small, you know, colony base trying to build up Reach once again, since we know that has been happening for about 5 years now. Yeah, there are people that have survived Reach, and there are people that are still working on Reach and will eventually have built New Alexandria again. So it would be really cool to see the Guardians go there and Master Chief find some excuse to have to go there with the Infinity and to revisit the planet after all this time. And I think that would be so freaking cool if we could find Noble Six's helmet, like Darcy says here. I mean, even as an Easter egg, right? That would be really, really cool. And also talking to June, or having June involved in the gameplay somehow, or in the cutscenes, or even just as, you know, just a cameo, would be really, really cool and humbling to see how far we've come, you know, playing the games, right? I think so. Let me know what your thoughts are about that. Should we revisit Reach? Should we waste time on revisiting Reach? You know, one thing I didn't like about Halo 5 was that there was excessive fan support. You know, the fan service is the word. So they did so many things that kind of screwed up the story just to appease us fans, and then they kind of did the opposite, and they did not make us happy with the story. They just kind of botched it. But also, there is a lot of people, you might be one of them, that believes, honest to God, that Noble Six is alive, or at least the possibility of him being alive, which honestly I think is a possibility, right? Even though there's like confirmations everywhere officially that he did die on the day that we think he did die. But if he did survive, I think it would kind of ruin Reach. But nonetheless, if they decided to go that route, then we better see him in Halo Infinite. I think that would be really cool, very interesting, maybe a little bit jarring, but bottom line, I think it would be really cool to hear about Noble Six, or see his armor, or talk to someone in Oni about him as Master Chief, or maybe even talk to June, or just hear some kind of reference to Noble Team while visiting Reach. I think would be really, really cool, especially since Halo Infinite is going to be apparently bringing the Halo Reach AR. I wonder what else they are being inspired by and are influenced by from Halo Reach. TMA says there's a lot of threads that'll need to come together here. He says, number one, Zeta Halo in an old design Halo and was more malleable than the second gen's Halo, so it makes sense if it was still capable of functioning despite the damage. And number two, the Flood will definitely be coming back considering the scale of its presence on Zeta Halo, as I've talked about. Now, a lot of these things, by the way, is like things I've brought up, made whole videos about, so I won't dive too much into, but he says, number three, mendicant bias will likely feature directly given his relationship with both Zeta Halo and the Didact, and by extension, Chief see below. That is something that I do plan to talk much more about in the future, mendicant bias in his relationship with Zeta Halo. I know you guys are probably sick of mendicant bias, or maybe you're not. I mean, I used to make videos about him all the time for Halo 5, and he didn't show up at all in Halo 5, so it's kind of sad, but hopefully, considering his relevance and his connection to Zeta Halo, which again I'll talk about in the future, considering all that, and considering like Cortana and her rampancy and how mendicant bias went through the exact same thing and probably shaped the entire plot starting from Halo 2 all the way up to Halo 4, it's very likely I think we will see him in Halo Infinite. But he says, number four, Chief possesses Born Stellar's Gias. that will have to be addressed directly. Now, I am thinking that that plot point has been abandoned. And it sucks because it was such, I mean, I made a video about that. It's literally the most popular video on HaloFollower. And it's such a big freaking idea. And it just hasn't really been addressed. I mean, it was talked about the first time in Halo 1, and then it was brought back up in Halo 4, and it was alluded to. It's possible that it will be brought up considering that Halo 2, Halo 3 had no clues, nothing revolving the Born Stellars, Gias, and how Master Chief has been basically planned by the librarian. So, I'm just very curious to see how that unfolds and how maybe that might tie into the big climax of 343's storytelling here. And also, he says, perhaps like how Chakas could communicate with Forthenko, his Gias, Chief will get to communicate with Bornstellar after the Librarian awakened the Gias. So maybe sort of like his guardian angel, I guess. I think that's how that works. I'm not quite sure, but Bornstellar's destiny was to fire the array, he says. But what is Chief's? Which, by the way, is an excellent point, which is something I feel like we were cut off from Halo 4, and it was never really alluded to or talked about in Halo 5. So what is Chief's mission? What is his ultimate purpose? And has he already fulfilled it, or is he going to fulfill it soon? Maybe does he go into the domain? But he says perhaps. But Team A also says at number 5, I kind of suspect some sort of mendicant bias versus Cortana battle. Now, I made a 18-minute video about this, so there's just a lot that I'm not going to cover here. If you want to go watch that, I'll leave a link at the end of this video. It is a really fun video, I think, but he says the fate of the Foreigners was in part decided by a similar AI battle. Perhaps Mendicant can finally get his desired redemption by stopping Logic Plague Cortana. So that would be really cool, and I think that would be a perfect redemption for Mendicant because, as you guys probably know, if you don't know, I'll just recap. Mendicant was a super smart AI by the Foreigners back in the day, and eventually he was convinced over the period of 40 years by the Gravemind that the Foreigners are basically stopping evolution by denying the Flood from eating everything. So he turns on the Foreigners, kills a bunch of them, almost wipes them out, but eventually is defeated, and his shards are put all over the place. One of the shards, I believe, are on Zeta Halo. Yeah, and I think it's actually the brain part of Mendicant is like the center most important part is on Zeta Halo, and it should still be there. So yeah, I mean, it's all coming together, and I really can't wait. This is something that I was gonna have on a comment, but I lost it. But someone was talking about a new copy of Cortana being made versus the new evil Cortana, and that Master Chief does have a new companion, and it's literally Cortana. Now, it could also be a completely new AI. As we've heard a while back, it could be, I forgot it starts with a D, but yeah, it could be a completely new AI. It could be a male, and he could also have the color of blue, which could be confusing us because we've seen Master Chief put a blue chip into his head, which is obviously, for Cortana, right? But maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe that's a completely new AI, and maybe that AI is going to kick Cortana's ass. And maybe the new AI could also be Halsey, because we know Halsey worked on Master Chief's suit, as we saw from the second Halo Infinite trailer, or the opening cutscene rather. For a split second, it says that his suit was created and crafted and modified by Dr. Halsey herself, at least by 2553 or 2554, I don't quite remember, but yeah, so Halsey is in the story. They talked at the end of Halo 5. We don't really know what they talked about, but it's described in Halo Bad Blood about them talking, post Halo 5. Yeah, and the last thing TMA says is Zeta Halo was a research site for Faber, the builder of the Halos, so it would make sense if they had some other builder secrets. Just my thoughts. So TMA, thank you so much. Just so many different theories to go over there. I really like the idea of everything coming together and making a big splash, because I know 343 has said this is not a trilogy, that Halo 4 and Halo 5 and Halo Infinite, which is really just Halo 6, right, is not a trilogy, but it feels like a trilogy. And I've said this before, Halo 5 might not suck as much if they do the story right in Halo Infinite. If they pay off those plot points, if there's some important reason why something happened in Halo 5 that was jarring or aloof, that didn't make sense, and there's plenty of those things, that pays off in Halo Infinite, I think Halo 5 would actually objectively become a better game. But as it is right now, we have a lot of plot points that are all over the place, and now we have Bonnie Ross a few months ago saying that Halo Infinite is a spiritual reboot, and we have no idea what the hell that means. Spiritual means that in essence they're starting over, but the story is going to keep on the same, and I'm afraid that they just might make Cortana a good guy and have her all good with Master Chief again, and then they're fighting the bad guys again, which would just be kind of like really annoying because they've built up this story arc of Cortana dying at the end of Halo 4. Spoiler warning. Why haven't you played Halo 4, alright? If you don't know that. And then she kind of becomes like the bad guy in Halo 5, and she's kind of twisted and has this twisted point of view. I say evil just for the sake of like convenience, but honestly, she might be technically the good guy here, and she might have some good points as I talked about in the past. But what is going to happen? What is the conclusion to all this? There's 3 beats, right? 1, 2, 3. That's, there's 3 acts to most stories. So what is the 3rd act going to be like? And is it going to pay off well, or is it going to be a reboot and leave us jarring on another huge cliffhanger? Oh God, of course there's going to be a cliffhanger, and then it's going to be another 5 years for another Halo game to come out, right? Or maybe less, because they've been working on the tools a bunch. But anyways, guys, let me know your theories, because I love eating up your theories and sharing them and just adding my own point of view. And then it's like kind of like an ongoing dialogue between me and you guys, and it's really, really cool because we get some really interesting theories, and I just love spitting them out, and then you guys spitting it back in me, and then me spitting it back in your mouth. So please let me know your theories, and also like this video up if you ended up enjoying, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.